All right, guys, we're going to be looking at rational functions today, and we're going to be looking mainly at the end behavior of those rational functions. So you may have seen in your class before this notation where it says things like this: x approaches negative infinity, or you may have said x approaches positive infinity, okay? And what I like to do when I teach this is I don't like to necessarily use all those fancy words of approaching negative infinity or approaching infinity as we just are starting to get into this. What I like to do is kind of break down this phrase into thinking that, hey, look to the left if we are going to negative infinity, or look to the right if we're going to positive infinity. That's kind of how I like to break this down. So it approaches negative infinity, which means what we're going to do is we're going to look to the left of the graph, or we're going to go to positive infinity, which means we're going to look to the right of the graph. Now, the second part of the end behavior of graphs is that we write something along the lines of this: f of x approaches something, and f of x approaches something. Now, this is where the decision has to be made. Okay, so the decision now has to be, is it up, is it down, or is it leveling off? Okay, so those are those three things that we're going to have to make that decision, and we're going to have to put that decision right here at the end of the f of x. Okay, so we're going to be looking up, looking down, or leveling. So let's look at some examples and we'll see how this works, and we'll write some end behavior stuff. So I'm going to turn on this first graph over here, which is 4x minus 5 over x squared minus 3. I'm going to look at that graph. Now, when we look at this information, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the first part, and you may have this statement in front of you. Your teacher may be saying, okay, well, x goes to negative infinity. And what we're going to think to ourselves automatically is, hey, we need to look to the left. So we're going to take the graph, and we're just going to very simply grab this graph, and we're going to look to the left, look to the left, look to the left, and keep looking to the left, keep looking to the left. And what we are going to do is we're going to make a decision. Is it going up? Is it going up, down, or leveling? Okay, so is it up, down, or leveling off? And as you can see this, in this case, it seems to be leveling. Okay, so now once I know that it's leveling out, I'm going to go ahead and click on that graph. I'm going to trace it out, and I'm going to say, well, what is it leveling to? Well, look at the y values. The y value is negative 0.65. Well, that's a really small number. And it looks like as we keep going, okay, well, check that out. It's 0.031, negative 0.031. It seems to be getting closer to 0. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, hey, look, it is leveling out at 0. So what we did was we looked to the left, and then we found out that it was leveling, and we found out it was leveling at 0. And that's how we're going to answer that question. So when we go to the next one, we're going to do the exact same thing, except your teacher will probably have another statement right below it. It'll say x approaches infinity. And what we're going to do is that just simply means, hey, we need to look to the right now. So we're going to go all the way back over, okay, and we're going to go to the right. And we're going to go to the right, and we're going to go to the right, and we're going to go to the right, we're going to go to the right, and we're going to ask ourselves that question. Again, is it going up? Is it going up? Is it going down? Or is it leveling out? And as you can see over here, as we do this, it is leveling out again. No matter what, I keep going over here, I level out, and it says 0.037. So look, it levels out approximately at the value 0. I'm going to say, okay, f of x, or the graph goes to 0. And that's one way that we can go ahead and do that. So there's our first one. So as we go to negative infinity, the graph is going to go to 0. As we look to the right, positive infinity, the graph is going to go to 0. So let's do another one. We'll go a little bit quicker this time. Hopefully that'll you'll be able to see this as we go along. So we are always starting with these first two phrases of looking left and or looking right, in this case for the end behavior. So I go to the next one, and I say, okay, well, let's go turn on the next graph. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to look to the left. So we're going to start here again, look to the left. So when we look to the left, I'm then going to grab the graph. I'm going to mix it up. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking to the left. I'm moving over. I'm looking more to the left. I'm looking more to the left. I'm looking more to the left. And what does the graph keep doing? That's our question. Does it go up? Does it go down? Or does it level? It goes up. And where is it going up to? If it keeps going up, it is going to go to positive infinity. It's just going to keep growing on that side. It's coming from infinity. Okay. Then once we know that answer, we're going to go to the other side. We're just simply going to say, okay, well, let's look to the right now. So I'm going to go back to the right. And I'm going to start working my way left. And as you can tell, that graph is starting to decrease on the right-hand side. And the graph is decreasing and decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. So we have to answer our question, is it going up, down, or leveling? It is actually going down right here. So as we keep going, you can see it. That graph is going this way in a downward position. So direction. So I'm going to write, it is going to negative infinity. Nice and easy. So that's how we do. We look left, we look right, and then we decide is it up, down, or leveling for right now. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's go to a different one. Okay. And I'm going to go to the next one. And you can actually already see this one. It seems to be leveling off. So I'm going to go back just to start the process over. I'm going to say x goes to negative infinity is our first statement. That's this guy. That's the thing that your teacher's probably going to present with you. X goes to negative infinity, which just means, hey, look left. Okay, so we're going to look to the left on the graph. So we're approaching negative infinity. We're just going to keep going to negative infinity, negative infinity, negative infinity, negative infinity. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trace that graph. We're going to look at it. Look at it, says 0.899. We keep going. And then it gets closer to 9.93. It just keeps going, and we get closer, 0.948, and it looks like we're approaching the value of 1. So I might say, okay, well, it is now leveling, and it is leveling at a value of 1. Okay, so we're always asking that question. So what's it doing, up, down, or leveling? So we're going to go back, and we're going to go to the statement right here where it says look to the right. And so we're going to go back to the graph. I'm going to click the home key so it brings us back to the center. And then I'm just going to ask our questions. Is it up, down, or leveling? And so as I keep going along, it looks like it went down, but now it looks like it's leveling out. So as it's leveling out, I'm now just going to trace the graph and look at it. 1.05, 1.05, 1.05. It's leveling off. It's probably leveling off somewhere around 1, a y value of 1. Okay. And there we have it. Again, we've done our end behavior. As we look left, it goes to 1, which is right here. As we look to the right, it goes to 1, which is right there. So let's go ahead. I'll do more. If you're still following along, that's cool. That's awesome. If that helped you out so far, you're more than welcome to do what you need to do. Let's go ahead and go to slide. I'm going to go to the next equation, which is 4. Okay, and what you can see here is it looks like it's leveling out again. I'm going to start over. If you're still uncomfortable with this stuff, I'm going to go start back over. I'm going to start off with my left and right statement because that's what you're going to be presented with. Okay, so I'll go to the first one. I say, as x approaches negative infinity, which just simply means look to the left. We're going to start looking to the left. So as we look to the left, we look to the left. It went up, but now check it out. It is leveling off. So I'm just going to trace this out. I'm going to trace it out, and it keeps leveling. It levels. And when I trace it out, I'm going to click on the y-axis. You know, 3.886, 3.887, 3.888. It's growing, but it's growing really slowly. So if I keep going, more than likely, you'll see as it keeps going, 3.91, it's leveling off at approximately the value of 4. Okay, and that's what the y value is. So we just have to go back through the process now. X approaches infinity. Look to the right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look to the right. When I do that, I'm going to click back on that home screen. I'm going to find out. I'm going to keep going to the right. I'm going to keep going to the right. I'm going to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And once I get out there, way out there, I'm going to start tracing it. And you'll notice that it is getting closer and closer to the number 4 on the y. So it goes to 4. So hopefully this is helping out with this process. So remember, look left. What does the graph do? That's this first statement that you're seeing. Look left. And then what does the graph do? It goes to 4. Look to the right. And then what is the graph doing? It's going to 4. All right. And I've got one more example here, just in case you want one more. I'm going to go to this one, number 5. Number 5. Oh, here we go. Number 5 looks approximately very similar. I'm going to go ahead and erase all these little marks. I'm going to start back over at the beginning. Look left, look right. And is it leveling, going up or going down? Okay. And so let's go to the first one, which says x approaches negative infinity, which simply just means look to the left. And I'm going to drag all the way to the left. I'm going to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And you notice as I go out, it's leveling. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, hey, man, the question is, this is leveling right now. And then I'm going to trace that bad boy all the way out in 2.996, 2.969, 2.769. I bet you it's leveling off at approximately the value of 3. And then I'm going to go right back. I'm going to answer that same question, but I'm going to go x approaches positive infinity, which just simply means look to the right. And when I look to the right, I'm going to go back to the center and I'm going to move the graph to the right. Just keep going to the right, keep going to the right, as if I'm going out to see all those numbers out to 1,000,000 or whatever, infinity. Okay. And I'm going to trace this bad boy. I'm going to check that graph and it's 3.045, 3.044. It's just going to whittle its way down. It looks like it is leveling off at 3. Okay. Hopefully that helps you kind of understand end behavior and the way that we ask certain statements of this, especially when it comes to these x approaches negative infinity, x approaches positive infinity. Just remember, you just have to decide, is it going up, down, or leveling? And then you just got to find that information. Is it going to infinity, negative infinity, or leveling off at a specific number? All right, y'all. I hope this helped you out.